from the Instagram account of the San Francisco Standard, or SF Standard, in collaboration with ABC7 News Bay Area. They say in the post, "Bodies in the streets, parks, buses, the everyday horror of stumbling on an overdose victim." And they caption the post, "Our reporter, David Shosted, joined ABC7 News Bay Area to dive deeper into his most recent report on San Francisco's overdose crisis, sharing the stories of overdose victims through the perspective of the San Francisco residents and business owners who found their bodies." And I have been saying that for a long time now, that these people have to walk over needles and poop and pee and walk around tents, and nobody seems to care about them. But now the San Francisco Standard, which is obviously completely terrible, are trying to paint a picture of the regular people who have to deal with these junkies all over the place. But my name's Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm absolutely begging you.
I'm begging you, please. Come on, please.
It would help me a lot and cost you nothing. But if you wanted to help me a little bit more and spend a tiny amount of money, you would buy my book, New York City 2020, Gotham Unglued, on Amazon.com. That link will be in the description.
Our media partner, the San Francisco Standard, reviewed data from the medical examiner's office. It shows 730 people fatally overdosed in public places over the last 4 years. What that means is many residents and business owners are being exposed to the everyday horror of stumbling across an overdose victim. That's the focus.
Yes, they're literally everywhere. How is it taking you this long to even entertain the idea that there are normal people that still live there, even though they're maybe not normal? They're probably kind of crazy if they haven't left by now. But yes, that's happening. You have junkies all over the place, and some people still deal with it.
This of an in-depth report just published in the Standard. Joining us live now in the studio to talk about this report is San Francisco Standard reporter David Shosted. Why did you decide to look at this issue from the lens of people who accidentally found bodies?
Yeah, we decided to take that focus because we have written a lot about the victims of the overdose crisis, and we find that...
She basically asked him, why would you tell this story from the perspective of a regular San Franciscan who hasn't overdosed on dope? Why would you do that?
Often that resonates with a small subsection of people in the city. And we kind of got together in the newsroom and thought about what are the ways that this is affecting everybody? How can we get everybody to relate to this crisis? And we were going over this data, we realized, you know, there's probably hundreds, if not over 1,000 San Francisco residents who have actually discovered a dead body essentially on their doorsteps. And so we decided to take that framing to try to cast a wider net and involve more people in the discussion.
Right, because they are everyday people doing everyday things, right? And you shared a clip with us that...
She's still surprised that regular people... I mean, I'm kind of surprised too. Everybody should leave. In fact, the entire state should just float off into the Pacific. It's rotten from the core, right? Rotten from the inside out, and they should just start over. But yeah, they're everyday people doing everyday things that have to walk through this. Little kids. We've seen the viral clips of little kids walking through complete shanty towns, junkies all over the place.
Okay. Get home safe.
Get home safe.
They gotta walk through this shit. Come on, man.
Yes, those people still exist.
Illustrates that so poignantly. It's from a Mexican restaurant in the Mission. So let's go ahead and roll that so that, David, you can walk us through what happened here, what we're seeing there. I think this is from last year.
Right. What we're seeing here is there was a long time...
A Mexican restaurant in the Mission District. And many years ago, when I lived in San Francisco, I made a joke. I was literally eating food at a Mexican restaurant in the Mission, and we could see ambulances going down Mission and around the corner, and it was kind of eerie. And I made the joke that some dope dealer had laced his dope, and that's why the fiends were. I mean, this was years ago. This is before fentanyl. This is before the illegals. This is before all of that stuff. But I made a joke that, oh, like a new dealer is in town and probably has laced his dope with something. That's why these dope fiends are falling all over the place. And the joke didn't go over well with my friends at the time, and it's only gotten worse.
Customer named Rafael Cruz. He came in to eat at this Mexican restaurant every single day. The owner,
he ate at the same Mexican restaurant in the Mission District every single day and then overdosed there.
All the servers loved him. And one day they just noticed him start to tip over in his chair. And one of the things that this situation really brought to light for me was, you know, the city has, when we asked them about this, they said, you know, bystanders should be carrying the overdose reversal medication Narcan.
No, false. They should not be. You want everybody to carry around Narcan as if they're going to, I guess they're not going to be technically hanging out with junkies, but you know, it's such a problem that if you walk over somebody who you think might be OD'd or possibly dead or whatever, then you should just have a Narcan in your pocket and be ready and willing to help them. And of course, the city is going to get a kickback from that. They pretend, oh, it's free, you could just go get it. No, somebody got paid for that. They didn't just do it out of the kindness of their heart. So it's a win-win. They can flood the streets with illegals and dope and Hondurans and all that stuff, and they get they're in on that too. It's a deep rabbit hole. But if you don't succumb to the regular dope, then you can use the Narcan, which we're going to get a kickback off of anyways, which we're going to get a kickback off of also. And preferably, we'd like you to do that so you can be right at the brink of death so you don't question what the hell it is these politicians are doing.
And this is kind of an essential part of life-threatening emergencies, is that bystanders are ready to hop in. And I think this situation kind of revealed how maybe that might not always be the best scenario, because...
That's correct. It's not the best scenario. I don't know who this guy is, but it's weird to agree with anybody from these weirdo media publications. But did it take you doing this research to realize that it wasn't a good idea to have everybody carrying around Narcan? Bro, I haven't done any of that research, but I know that doesn't make any sense.
As the owner of this Mexican restaurant described to me, pounding on the man's chest, watching his face turn purple and green, and he's on the phone with 911, and 911's telling him to do this and that, and he's freaking out, and the man ended up dying after 5 days in the hospital. And the owner, you know, still thinks about what he could have done to help that person. And we found so many situations like this where people were trying to help and they just couldn't.
Right. So obviously horrible, horrible for the victims' families, but also for the people who had to witness that, the lasting impact on the restaurant owner you talked about.
Yeah, and the people that have to walk over the needles and the poop and around the tents every single day, kind of distressing for them.
Logically. Let me just ask you, what kind of changes are needed in addressing mental health
this mental health thing, that's an excuse for everything. They have several excuses, whether it's Rona. New York City Mayor Eric Adams came down with the Rona while he's being served subpoenas and his aides are getting indicted. And I mean, there's always an excuse. Scumbag greaseball bang your wife Governor Gavin Newsom says, oh, well, we couldn't come up with the money because of these rain bombs and atmospheric rivers.
What we didn't anticipate is these rain bombs in December, January, February, and March. These atmospheric rivers.
They always come up with some weirdo, stupid excuse, and mental illness is at the top of the list, right? That could just go for anything, right? If you just act a fool, if you start stealing cars, breaking into stores, oh, well, it's just mental illness. And they literally wear that. They let people off the hook all the time. But if you get caught, you get jammed up, then you could just claim mental illness and they're going to pretend like it's okay. And they just want everybody to have whatever it is they want, whether it's the criminal illegals, a story we just saw from the San Francisco Standard, who are demanding that a lady who I think was probably in pretty poor health caught a disease from the shelter she was in and lost her limbs, and now the city owes her even more. Look, I don't even know where I was going with that, but this is obviously circling the drain, and I've said it so many times, and I'm not the only one. And for the record, there was an old story from the San Francisco Standard that said office buildings won't come back until 2040 or something like that, so I do agree with them on that, and 2040 is generous. That would be on a good day, right? If they started doing everything right yesterday, it would still take at least 1 decade. And the San Francisco Standard says almost 2 decades.
Addiction, that kind of came out in your reporting.
Yeah, so we found about a quarter of these victims had suffered from mental illness.
Yeah, suffered from what? Can you tell us? Are you talking about Asperger's? Are you talking about, mental illness at this point could literally just mean dope fiends. It's just one of their many excuses that can encompass whatever they want it to. It's just vague enough.
And actually, many of the people I found in these reports had constant contact or had very recent contact with the city's medical care. So there was a boy, or 22-year-old, who had been at SF General just 2 days prior to being found in Golden Gate Park. And his mom kind of raised the question about why are these hospitals just discharging people who are suicidal?
Yeah, she's not responsible at all, right? This is about the hospitals.
And at risk of overdose when they were there 2 days earlier.
Right. David, this is really eye-opening, and I encourage folks to check it out. And you can find his...
Yeah, this is really strange. And I don't know if these people are evil and manipulative like the political regime. And, they are in the media, so perhaps that is the case. But they seem genuinely surprised by people who... regular citizens who still live in San Francisco that have to deal with this. Oh, we're going to tell this harrowing story from a different perspective. It's like, yes, bro, I've been saying that for many years, that people, regular citizens who go to work and have kids and have families in San Francisco still have to deal with this on a daily basis.